This is Water Codes, Chapter 2, Lessons from Academia. Taught in school, we examined a glass of simple water and learned that it is the only substance to exist as a solid, a liquid, and a gas in natural form, and is an arrangement of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Moving further into chemistry, we learned that these atoms are held together to form this liquid, solid, gaseous substance via covalent hydrogen bonding, and that it made a great medium and solvent. And that was that. But what if it is not so simple? Most have never even heard of other forms of water, for example, H3O or H3O2, or water's van der Waals bonds, the term used to describe the attraction between water molecules caused by electrostatic force. That is, the forces between atoms and particles that are caused by their electrical charges. Instead, water's most intriguing anomalous properties were likely ignored, as science is unable to explain why water has the highest surface tension of any liquid, is the greatest solvent on Earth, and defies gravity every time it rises through the trunks of trees. Perhaps water's great uniqueness was hinted at in the classic verbatim that water, like energy, cannot be created or destroyed, and that the water we have here today on Earth is the same amount, atom for atom, which has always been here. Both theories highly controversial, but taught, at least to me and others I know, at a young age. But water's great collection of anomalous properties, over 60 unexplainable properties according to modern chemistry and physics, has been often ignored and untaught. The unexplainable properties of water, the most pervasive substance on our planet, fly in the face of modern physics and call into question the very laws on which our entire scientific system is based. When the laws of physics fail miserably to apply to the most common substance on our planet, one must question their legitimacy and recognize that the rules of physics do not operate as we once believed. While one would think that science would be forever embracing new ideas and discovery, it is an incredibly difficult task to undo the branches of sciences from the fundamentals on which they are based, no matter how wrong they are, and we are perhaps not as far from the days of Galileo as we would like to believe. Career persecution is rampant in the fields of discovery, and thus a great deal of gathered knowledge and research on the many properties of water also go ignored, not yet acknowledged by mainstream science. It's followed by a lengthy quote that says, "Water is the most studied material on Earth, but it is remarkable to find that the science behind its behavior and function are so poorly understood or even ignored, not only by people in general, but also by scientists working with it every day. The small size of its molecule belies the complexity of its actions and its singular capabilities. Liquid water's unique properties and chameleonic nature seem to fit ideally into the requirements for life as can no other molecule." That's a quote from Martin Chaplin, professor of applied science at London South Bank University. Even the most basic properties of water don't conform to the rules of physics. If water contracted rather than expanding when freezing, as most compounds do, it would sink and destroy life. Instead, water contracts at 3.9 degrees Celsius, an anomaly that causes the spring and fall turnover of lakes in temperate climates. Lake turnover occurs when the deeper waters are exchanged with surface waters, a natural yearly cycling of nutrients and oxygen that are so critical for lake life. Without this anomalous property, called anomalous because it is unexpected, lake life would not even exist, nor would the plethora of diverse forms of life within its ecosystem and all of the ecosystems around it that are dependent upon its water system. The only lakes to exist would be in the tropic zones, where seasonal turnover occurs through violent tropical storms. The rules of physics also expect the boiling temperature of water to be negative 70 degrees Celsius, rather than 100 degrees Celsius, depending on the conditions, and that it should freeze around negative 100 degrees instead of 0 degrees Celsius, again, depending on the conditions. As water has been shown to have no static or set boiling and freezing point. Yet the structural bonding in water allows it to exist outside of the gaseous state the rules of chemistry and physics expect it to be in, and thankfully so, or there would be no liquid water on Earth at our temperatures. and these are just some of the growing number of water's anomalous properties. Pause for a note. I'm not sure when it said the boiling temperature of water to be negative 70. I think that's a typo and it's supposed to be 70 degrees Celsius rather than 100. And then they talked about freezing in the negative 100 instead of 0. So, to continue. To be frank, with all the credit and discovery attributed to the broad field of science, one would assume that after all this time the schools of the sciences would have a well-founded definition of what water even is. But no such definition has been able to include and account for the amazing properties of water, and the answers postulated by science are incomplete, typically explaining away some anomalies while being in direct opposition to other properties. Why, for example, is water heaviest at 4 degrees Celsius? And what makes it freeze at 0 degrees Celsius? Why does it sometimes not freeze at 0 degrees Celsius? Why is some water lighter than other water? Why does supercooled water have different properties than regular water? More importantly, perhaps, to the general population, and reaching further than mainstream science is comfortable going, what makes some water so much different than other water? Why does some water, whether homeopathic, treated with a form of subtle energy, that energy which is unseen and yet we witness its effects and thus know it exists, or magnetism, sourced from a sacred site, that is Lourdes or Lourdes, France, or otherwise differentiated water, have documented healing effects and exhibit different properties altogether from other water? These water sources have been demonstrated to produce different ice crystal growth, affect the growth of other crystalline substances, change the color of specific colloid minerals, absorb different spectra of light, be measurably lighter than other water, and exhibit a variety of other changes in properties. They also come with thousands of years of anecdotal evidence of miraculous healings and even well-documented studies in modern eras. Upon investigation, one learns there seem to be 2 different types of water: structured, ordered, or organized water, which intelligently arranges its molecules in crystalline patterns, and unstructured or bulk water, which has disordered molecules, and these waters exist in their various degrees. These 2 different types of water exhibit different enough characteristics to nearly be considered 2 completely different substances, except that they still remain comprised of the compound we know as H2O. Unstructured water, also known as bulk, unorganized, or dead water, appears to be more like the simple glass of liquid we are taught in school, whereas structured water, also known as hexagonal, organized, living, sacred, holy, or healing water, appears to be a much more mysterious substance, even though it comprises the most of our biology. It behaves much more unusually than its less ordered counterpart, bulk water. It exhibits more anomalous properties the more ordered and structured it becomes, and is much more critical to all of life's many processes. It is this aspect of water, its structuring capabilities, which gives rise to its remarkable features, from its ability to defy physics to its ability to store information, memory, and cause healing. And it's this aspect that is getting so much attention in the marketplace. There are a growing number of products being sold today to ionize, alkalize, magnetize, intentionalize, and vortex water to improve its pH and absorption, hydration potential, and molecular cluster formation, energy charge density, and structure in order to improve its ability to penetrate cells and amplify effects in the body. That is, water's bioavailability and function. But for all the language and research discussed by such marketers, some more true than others, there is still an inadequate understanding or knowledge of what structured water really is, really does, or really can do. It is imperative, if we are to understand our bodies, our health, and our life, our consciousness, energy, and universe, that we expand our understanding of water. This requires a holistic view, combining science and spirituality, bridging cultural and ancient knowledge with the advancements of today. Perhaps if science were to look at the properties of water and its behavior in the context of the historical knowledge left by our ancestors, their definition of water could begin to look more complete and the possibilities of its application expansive and near limitless. Like so many other great discoveries we've made about our universe and experience, from the order of our solar system, which is accurately depicted in several ancient traditions, to the effect of positive thinking on health, a topic discussed for centuries in sacred texts and scriptures. We find evidence of ancient knowledge surrounding water's amazing properties in cultures throughout time and space on Earth. It is the incredible nature of structured water that holds the meaning and power behind holy or sacred water sites and rituals of blessings and cleansings. In structured water, we find the mechanisms and the abilities of the ancients recognized and revered in water, and through understanding water in its true form and function, we begin to develop different and deeper meaning and relations to the religious and sacred literature, referencing its characteristics, abilities, and use. This book aims to answer the question of what structured water really is in a clear way by providing evidence and research of aqueous knowledge and discovery throughout history, shining light on the remarkable qualities and responsiveness of water, and put it together in context to show how water works as energy, as an interface, as a fractal antenna of information, and as the storehouse of consciousness. Having understood the science behind structured water, it then aims to shed light on what our ancestors were really saying about water, through both their texts and traditions, now having the scientific language to understand how these processes are capable. Only then can we begin to understand how water holds the greatest value for health, wellness, and longevity, and what the science of structured water can tell us about the energetics of our universe. As we grow this understanding, we begin to see that water's anomalous properties are perhaps not so anomalous, and we open ourselves up to explore how the mechanics of water allow us to examine the fundamental laws of energy and consciousness in our universe, the laws on which our existence is based.